everybody. Welcome back to InnRoads Plays. We are going back into, I think this is session 5. With all of the interspersed episodes that we've had in here, I think this is the 5th session. We're on the main campaign trail. But it's been a while in real life since the last time we all got together, but super excited to have the team. And Nate, you'll notice in the top right-hand corner over here that Nate is not there, but he will be in probably the next episode of this session. So Lieutenant Blackwell will return. But yeah, so we're happy to get back into the campaign. We're in the midst of looking for these children that have disappeared, the Doyle children. And
miserable, bratty Doyle children.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, it's like,
monsters.
I feel like something was lost from the last episode because, beforehand you're thinking they're just kids.
Oh, no, these poor
You
children.
pulled the rug right out from under us. You started us off thinking, oh, we're totally going to go, save these great children. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to reunite this family. And then you made them just blackmailing awful brats.
Well, before they got there, we got confused as to whether they might have been used in some ritual, because that's what Dr. Loom implanted in our heads.
Who knows?
Well, if
These
we
things
find
happen.
them and they have, half their faces eaten by feral cats or something, we've technically still found them.
Oh, dear.
Just saying.
they're still here. Do we
Just
still get
saying.
paid? Do we still get paid? That's all I'm asking. Horrible. You're not those kinds of players. I won't have it. So, in any case, though, we're basically, we've wrapped up the last episode with finally departing the home. It's been a few episodes since we've been in the house, but we've had all sorts of adventures and misadventures.
Mostly misadventures.
Mostly misadventures. But eventually cracking open some evidence and taking it to its next logical conclusion. From the servant Carolyn, who is the kind of de facto nanny of these two children, she was able to reveal their blackmailing ways to help cover up their escapades leaving the house. Y'all had discovered evidence of them escaping through the trellis outside their second-story window, and also found boots that they've been used for traveling. You found evidence under the bed within a cigar box that pointed to a matchbox that was from the Tin Bells. There was a lug nut from the like a ceiling rafter of some sort, and there was also a playbill from the Pavilion Theater. It looks like it's a well-worn playbill, and it's from, I think it was King Lear was the play that was being seen, or that it announces. And then there is we already talked about the boots, so that's out there. Anything that I've missed so far before we depart the house and catch up with where you guys are?
Well, jade statue is the only other thing I can think of that we picked up.
That's right.
What statue?
That we did not pick up.
Statue.
There is
We
no
did
statue.
not pick up a statue.
I certainly not pick up
do
a
not
statue,
see it.
and I
There's no
certainly did not stuff it into my jacket pocket. And it is certainly not there right now.
And certainly would not have that leaving the premises of the house where it belongs. That's just
Not
Exactly.
Of course not.
it's intolerable. Intolerable
Who do you think I
accusations.
am?
No, I don't think anything. I don't think anything would happen like that.
Because nothing happened.
No,
course
nothing
not.
happened. So, let's see here. There was also Aerostat tickets from Hong Kong. So, yeah, so a few things going on there. But the next step in this little adventure, this investigation, is the connection to the second cousin of Mrs. Doyle. His name is Robert Doyle, which is interesting because it seems like he's probably on her side, but for some reason has taken the last name of Henry Doyle instead. So, go figure. So something I hadn't really made the appropriate emphasis on that last session, but there you go. He apparently has provided an pathway of infatuation for Henrietta, the oldest child. And they, it seems that she, and taking along her little brother, have made adventures out to meet him and learn a little bit about him. I guess apparently he's a bohemian of some sort, a poet of some renown, at least in his head.
And how old was he again? Remind me?
He is in his mid-20s.
Mid-20s. Okay, thank you.
Or at least that's what Carolyn mentioned, is that it looks like he's in his mid-20s. But
Okay.
As you found out when you arrived at the Ten Bells, he is also an Eldrin, so he may be a little bit older. So you guys departed the household, and in an effort to find a way into Whitechapel that could also include the scenic route, you leveraged one of Dove's close confidants and contacts.
Bogdan Rabinovich.
Bogdan Rabinovich, a Siberian tiger beastman who shares a rickety flat with 2 donkey beastmen. So you guys made your way into Whitechapel, where the Ten Bells is located, but as you guys approach the Ten Bells, you've noticed that on Commercial Street, where it's located, it's a little bit better here. You actually see a police presence. There's, a couple of coppers here and there that are walking the beat. You will occasionally see what would be considered an upper crust carriage making its way through the alleyways and streets. But you've also noticed, and I think Bogdan pointed out last episode, that there's also dens of ill repute listed as reading rooms or tobacco shops or gaming houses where people of other levels of society come and lose themselves in anonymity.
Can't trust those gamers.
Oh, you can't trust gamers, right? I'm glad Mike picked up on that. That's good. Eventually you found yourselves... That's right. Eventually you find yourselves at the Ten Bells pub. And for all those history buffs out there, you will also note that you can actually Google map the Ten Bells and actually see where it is. So a lot of these locations, which is really great in Victoriana, actually exist. So I'm having a lot of fun finding them on the map and bringing them into the game. So let's go ahead and open the scene, shall we? The camera opens up on Whitechapel. It's late evening, close to midnight. And as we kind of move our way through the narrow alleyways and warrens of this neighborhood, we see a predominant population of beastmen. There's also a population of what this world would be halflings are here, gnomes, a few dwarves here and there. But it's mostly a home of the destitute, the hard workers who work out on the docks, the ones that are, the laborers in the machine factories, that sort of thing, are the ones that live in this particular area.
Hence why Bogdan could lead us around, because he's a dock worker.
Perfect, exactly right. Would we call him a longshore beastman or a longshoreman? How would we say that?
Yeah.
So you're kind of descending through the fog and the must and the soot and everything. There's these tall tenements that are lining out what they call longhouses that are or row houses that are just stacked upon stacked upon stacked. Along the top of these roofs are these gangplanks, wooden boards that create its own streets up above where people dart in and out of the shadows. And as you guys are making your way from Bogdan's flat down to the Ten Bells, before you're kind of leaving this area behind, you can ever so often you can glance up and you'll see a shadowed figure darting from one rooftop to the next along these planks. One case you actually see somebody running along those planks with somebody giving chase, and all of a sudden one of the planks comes flying down to the street next to you in an alley because he's trying to cover his tracks as he makes his escape.
Oh.
So yeah, an interesting feature of the locale. So you guys make your way finally over to Commercial Street, which is a bit broader of an avenue. It does admit horses, carriages, and the occasional motor car that will trundle its way, steam and soot pouring out the back and the front. And this is where you notice that, yeah, there are some folks here that are not just of the lower classes. You also see some mid-level and in some cases what you would consider high class, judging by the carriage, but the curtains are drawn, you can't see inside. The driver is even hooded and cloaked and has, a big top hat on and something so you can't see his features, that kind of thing. You'll see that occasionally. And Bogdan is more than happy to regale you in the tales of high-class individuals who come here to lose themselves and sometimes lose themselves in the gaming dens and the colorful features Commercial Street in Whitechapel. But you go a little bit further down the road, and on the east side of Commercial Street, you're seeing that there's several businesses that are closed up for the night. They've got their locks and some of the gates that have been drawn across there. You'll pass one alleyway where there's actually a pair of guard dogs that bark at you ferociously as you make your way, and Bogdan gives them a good shake of his fist as he continues. And eventually, you guys arrive at the Ten Bells, and so this is where we ended our session last time. The Ten Bells is an interesting looking tavern. Now, from the outside, it doesn't look like it would hold a lot of people, but once you get inside, there are a bunch of people, and Bogdan is forced to shout above the din. This is the place. This is the Ten Bells. This is where I think you will find your Eldrin. But look around. These are the working people. This is the place where you can find happiness and camaraderie, eh? And he gives Dove a punch on the shoulder. See, this is where you will find all of your friends. These people, they know my Dove bolts, and yes, they do. And he gives you a firm grip on the shoulder. And in the back of the pub, there's a gathering of people, and there's a man that's standing on the table. He's a human, and he's just shouting and yelling, and he's talking about the plight of the proletariat. He's going on about the conscription bill that's before Parliament, and how he points at everyone that's around him. He says, "All of us will be drafted. All of us are going to be sent off to a war that we don't wish to fight." And everybody's just cheering him and raising their steins and their glasses and cheering him on. To his back, to his back and behind him on the left, there's a large ogre that, even though he's standing on the table, the ogre is just as tall as he is, and he's got the wife beater on, and he's got the billowy trousers and the suspenders, and he's got the bowler hat propped to on his forehead almost. And as you guys approach the table, I think during the last session, Dove, you had asked if the guy's voice matched the one that was in the group of rabble-rousers out on the streets.
Right.
But it's a different guy. But he is spouting a lot of the same propaganda. Go ahead.
Yeah, you had basically said that it was a different guy, but you figured that they were probably from the same cause.
Pretty much, yeah. You easily were able to find that out. So, as you guys approach, Bogdan, you're thinking Bogdan's going to kind of point you over to the guy who's talking, but as you get closer, you realize the man's not Eldrin. But he does point you over to a man who's seated at the same table, and he's leaned back, he's got his feet up, and he's got a long coat on, he's got his hair done up, and I've got a picture of kind of what I think he would look like, although this one has a little bit of an Asian ethnicity to it, but you never know what's going on in the Doyle family. So,
Indeed.
But I wanted to get somebody that kind of had that kind of feel that looked like him. So, this is the guy that you see.
We're talking about an Eldrin here, so
yeah. So anything's possible, right? So, so he sits back, and Bogdan points you over to him, and actually the Eldrin stands up and points over to Dove, and he points over to Miranda and Bogdan. But he's kind of hesitant to continue with Miranda and Monsieur Joyot and Dr. Loom because he sees kind of the way you guys are dressed and the way you carry yourselves. But he's saying, "See, look, welcome our new friends, huh? Look at these people." This is actually where I'm going to point out the fact that and talk about the various things that our characters have. Right.
But one of my privileges is called the Noble Tinker. And what it means is that I'm always dressed like I'm like covered in grease, and I'm wearing the same stuff I always wear in the forge. But it doesn't matter because the upper crust still knows that I do good work. So they kind of put up with it. But in here, that would actually work to the fact that they just think of me as working class.
Right. No, I think that totally will suit this scene quite well.
So yeah, I'm literally still wearing my stuff from the forge. Like I'm always in that gear.
Nice. So so he makes this announcement. I'll work on my accent here, folks. Trust me. Sorry, audience. I'll get that down right. So he motions everybody, and he points to like areas in and around the tables where you guys can have a seat, but he can tell that you may be looking for him. So how do you guys go into this? Again, it's kind of like a mass of people have kind of gathered, centered on this firebrand as he's railing away against the government. There is another group that's over towards the back of the pub that they actually, comparatively to the proletariats and hard workers that you see around this table, that table is full of people who are exceedingly good looking, let's just say.
Why did I just think of this is horrible? The Twilight vampires. The lunch scene where
they're not sparkly. They're not sparkly. Not at all.
I was actually
came to mind.
I was actually thinking more Zoolander.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Professionally good looking.
Dang it, now I'm thinking of Zoolander. But yeah, you do there. It's easy to notice the difference between them. So you've got another group that's kind of on their own. They're listening, but they're kind of like, it's almost kind of like they're like, oh, blase, blah blah, whatever. So
well, can we identify the general? Obviously, if they're really really good looking, probably it's going to be at bare minimum middle class. But I'm more thinking along the lines of race. Like, are these other Eldrin, or are they just really really good looking people of a motley sort?
Of a motley sort, I like that. They do have a mixture of human and Eldrin. There is actually an individual that they are kind of fawning over. A woman who's long black hair. It kind of like, it's like raven spilling down across her back, and it frames her face. Definitely an Eldrin. You can see that just from the ears that are kind of within the hair there. She's dressed in scarlet, and she smiles. She has that kind of Mona Lisa smile, like she's got a certain secret, and she doesn't look like she's just tolerating the people around her. She's actually enjoying their company, and she's also enjoying their attention as well. So she's kind of like over, and she's kind of listening, and she'll raise a glass to a couple of the exceptional points that the firebrand makes, but for the most part, that group kind of stays to themselves.
Dr. Loom just looks really nervous at all of this and is holding onto his wallet.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Miranda would not be comfortable in this kind of situation, so she's going to be kind of hanging back a bit and staying close to, well, I was going to say stay close to Dove, but if he's like wading into this, that's
about
probably
to
not a
say,
good idea.
if you don't want to be part of this, don't hang with Dove, because he's going right in.
Exactly. So normally she would be with Lieutenant Blackwell or with Dove, but maybe she'd hang out with Monsieur Joyeux this time.
Yeah, because Joyo's gonna hang back as well, probably.
Okay, yeah.
Seeing as his job is kind of getting money from rich people, so taking down the rich people might not really be in his best financial interests.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Loom's going to whisper to both of them, "This warren is entirely populated with criminals. Let the bear handle it."
Goodness, all right.
He might forget to keep his voice low.
We
usually does.
joked.
If that's the case, Miranda might be stepping on his toe.
We joked about a Miranda and Dove like sitcom. No.
Exactly.
Needs to be a sitcom.
Odd couple thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it would fit.
So many buddy cop pairs that could work in this team, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, you got a couple weeks, so get to work on that. So you three are kind of hanging back, maybe around the bar area. There's maybe a table or two, like a little small table that has like a 3-foot diameter. It's like really small. You could probably kind of work your way over there.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
All right. So while you guys are hanging out there, Dove, you are
Get some drinks.
sure. sure, no problem. You probably will have to go to the bar. They don't really have anybody waiting the tables, so you'll have to.
Shoyo can't snap his fingers and make someone appear.
No, unfortunately.
Drinks up the sleeve. There you go. All right.
I am, as you say, a spiritualist, not a miracle worker. I need to work on my French accent too.
No, it fits better this way.
It's way better this way. You know that's what you're going for anyway.
Way more in character this way.
Yeah,
that is true.
Definitely. So, all right. So so Dove, you're going to go ahead and plunge into the thick of it, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm heading towards the dude who's pointing at us. I have no problem going through this pack of people to get to that point.
All right. So as you're kind of making your way through, a few of them see Bogdan and they like give him, greetings and stuff. A couple of big, huge, no pun intended, bear hugs that are going on. And he's actually introducing you guys. He introduces you, Dove, to a few people in Russian. And, he's saying, this is my good friend, Dove Polson. He runs the Iron Ursus. You've heard of him, that kind of thing. And there's folks who know you. Or
I was about to say, do I get to invoke my
local hero?
Most assuredly. Most assuredly.
Okay.
This is the exact place where you'd want to do that. Yep. So,
I just didn't know geographically if it was where I could invoke that, but
yeah, I mean, just because you're going to have a lot of longshoremen here, you're going to have a lot of the folks that work down in the area where your shop is located. So
works for me.
Definitely. So yeah, so the firebrand is like continuing, and he's like pointing at you, Dove, and saying, this right here, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This man right here, and he is a man. He's better than any of those men up in Parliament with their foofy-looking wigs and their ridiculous-looking fake moles on their faces. They think they can rule our lives. They can't rule our lives, can they? And everybody's just like shouting and yelling and stuff like that. And this, what do you say to this, sir? And I mean, sir, because you're more of a lord than any of those scum. What do you say if they call you and they say your name is up for the service?
Oh, how do I want to play this?
This is going to be fun.
Seems that Dove actually knows these people. I told you.
Dove is going to be standing at full 7.5 foot height.
Perfect, because everybody's like kind of turned and like looking for your response now.
Arms crossed, and this is not him. This is not him like posing. This is how he actually feels. He basically. I often say that he doesn't carry his stuff. Because his weapon is his hammer. Right. So he doesn't always have it, but I would like to think that he has some, because he wears his smith gear all the time, that maybe he has a smaller, finishing hammer, that he wouldn't use as a weapon, but is more like just a thing that he has. Yeah. And I would say that he'd pretty much uncross his arms, grab the hammer, and says, "I'd like to see them try and make me."
People just start shouting and clamoring and to give you a grip on the shoulder and stuff like that, and people are rapping on the tables. It's super loud and everything.
And I think Dove would actually get into it a little bit, and it says, "I fight for one man, and that is me. I choose who I fight for."
Oh, so good, so good. I dig it. All right. So while that's happening, the three of you back behind the scenes, as the crowd is kind of it's almost like a billows, as he's talking and the firebrand's talking, they kind of stand back and they're listening, and it's just washing over them, and then they lean forward a little bit to hear Dove's response, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like this organic, community that's just all together. So how are you guys reacting to this, of seeing him in the midst of all of this fray?
Dr. Loom has moved his wallet to his jacket pocket, and he's holding onto the front of it through his coat and standing up against the back of the wall. looking back and forth.
Doctor, if you click your wallet that tight, we'll be able to see where you keep it.
What? Yeah, he drops his hand and then kind of keeps his arms straight down his sides.
Not looking suspicious at all.
Not even suspicious.
Without turning his neck.
I love how the trained thief basically just said how to avoid being pickpocketed.
Yeah.
So perfect.
You're gonna get advice from someone. That's the one to get advice
way,
from.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
To be
the way to
honest,
go.
let's be real. You're learning from the best doctor.
His eyes are also quite wide.
Nice. So,
yeah, Miranda is watching Dove, kind of impressed at the way that he can work a room. Like, he clearly just walked in and you know.
Oh yeah.
That's right. This is the first time you guys see me in my element.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, maybe the first time we as an audience have seen it, you know,
right.
we might have
But
seen
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
but I think
Never know.
Miranda is so much. Dove's personality is so opposite of hers that she's really very much in awe, and she's staying very quiet, trying to blend as much as possible, even though she's sticking out like a sore thumb, but just keeping a very, very low profile.
All right. And how about you, Monsieur?
Yeah. I'm also pretty impressed. Like, you know, this is someone who definitely knows his audience. Although, like, it's obviously clear he's being genuine, but you know, like this is his people, you know.
Would you think he's
Like,
being
these are
genuine,
some
though?
skills.
Would you think he's putting on a show? That's interesting.
Yeah, Joy actually would probably not be sure if he's genuine about it or if he's putting on a show, but either way, like, it's still impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Gotcha.
And I mean, this whole time, Dove is still going. He's like, and who built the gates that they hide behind? Who built the houses that they hide in? We did. It is our hands. It is our hammers. It is our skill that makes this so.
So yeah, you're getting a good response to that. I'd say actually, let's just kind of like stretch your character's rolling skills. Do you have what do you think? What do you have as far as like kind of a people skill that you'd like to maybe throw into this, maybe to kind of add some zest to your speech? I'm already going to say you succeeded really well because of what you've presented, but what can we add to it?
We're going for added benefit here. I would say charm.
Let's do it, man. Let's get some rolls out there.
Okay, so skill, that's 2. Attribute, also 2. We doing any black dice on this?
I'm gonna say no black dice because you're already kind of like established yourself.
You've already got them.
Yeah. So, all right.
1 success.
1 success. All right. So remember, folks at home, 6s and 1s are a success, and 6s explode in Victoriana. So, all right. So yeah. So actually, because it's just 1 success, it's kind of a fringe benefit that you're going to get here. And we'll introduce that a little bit later in the interaction. But for the 3 of you who are in the behind the scenes there and watching this happen, there's over on the other side, over on the side corner where the woman is, there is somebody who is paying attention a little bit to you guys. So it looks like what it is the elderly lady that's dressed in scarlet. One of the sycophants, I guess you can call it, is looking your way and whispering something in her ear, and she glances your way, and she basically raises a glass and greets you, kind of like she's like noticing you all for the first time. One of them kind of points out that Dove is there, or Dr. Loom is there, kind of standing stoic and a little a little bit paranoid. And they make a brief comment, and she has this kind of her smile doesn't leave her face, but she does kind of like give a little bit of a laugh. Yeah, and you notice that somebody is from that group is now walking your way.
You see that? I get you guys, people.
Dr. Loom is pretty sure that this person's going to stab him for his shoes.
Oh my god.
He reacts appropriately.
Nice. I like it. All right, so in the midst of the firebrand's speech, he you guys are kind of trading the platform back and forth, and it's just really going well. And then finally, he stops his railing and he says, it's for men like this that we do what we do, that we fight for all of you, that we make sure that this is going to be a free Britain for everyone, not just for the rich. And so there's cheers, and Dove, you obviously add so much to it. But he hops down from the table, and people are clapping him, and there's like 5 beers come shoving into his face, and then there's like 5 beers that come shoving towards you. Whoever wants to buy a drink for the guest and for the firebrand. So, all right. So, what do you think?
I think Dove drinks dark beers and vodka, so whatever.
Perfect. So that's what's going to happen. So
Joy's just watching this and realizes that he probably could have gone to a different career, and he would probably be getting a lot more drinks for it.
Yeah, but the only reason I can do this is because of the fact that Dove did what he did as part of his job.
Right.
And of course, that's also how Joy thinks. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. So the crowd kind of starts dispersing, and glad handing is kind of fizzling out as folks are going back to their individual tables. The firebrand goes over to the side, and he's talking quietly with his ogre companion that's there, and Bogdan kind of like points towards the table and towards the Eldrin that's there, and says, "So, Dov, come. I will introduce you. I don't know him very well. I only know him, how you say, circumstantially, I guess is the name. So, anyway, come. I will introduce you."
It's more than I know him.
That's right. This is very true. So, but then again, I do not give speeches as well as you do, my friend. He
just because no one has given you a stage does not mean you could do it. You could not do it, my friend.
No. All of my speeches are for those 2 asses I live with. I try and tell them to stay in line, and that's what I do. This is where I reserve my shouting. I don't shout as much as I do at work, as I do it at home. It's incredible. But this is the Russian life, and this is what I enjoy so much. So he brings you over to the table and points to the Eldrin that's there, and he takes his feet down from the table and stretches and says, "So, look at who we have here. I think I've seen you around before." And he points towards Bogdan, and he says, "I seem to recall. Yes, I do recall a bit of a tussle of fisticuffs that occurred a few weeks back. You actually put 2 men in their place for, I think it was for insulting a woman. A cart woman, I believe. Someone who was selling potatoes, I think. I wrote something about it. I should tell you. I should share it with you." He starts looking through his satchel, and while he's looking away, Bogdan's just he leans over to Dove, and he's like, "Oh, this guy is always full of this. This is probably why I don't know him. He does this kind of crud all the time. And so he's always with the writing and stuff. All the girls, they love this kind of thing. I think it's a bunch of nothing, but, who am I to judge?" And so he kind of, he says, no need. I will, why don't I go and refill our drinks, and I will, Dov, why don't I get your companions? I'll bring them over here. And, he just he's kind of like that.
He's just backing off slowly.
And so the Eldrin kind of looks back up and he's like, well, just as well. It wasn't quite finished yet. So, you, my friend, come, sit down, take this chair. It's going to be sturdy enough for those mighty lungs of yours. So, tell me, my friend, my name is Robert Doyle. What can I do for you?
My name is Dov Boltson, and I believe
Sorry, repeat that. You faded out a bit. Sorry.
I said, my name is Dov Boltson, and I believe I know a relation of yours. A Miss Patricia Doyle.
Ah, yes. Second cousin on my mother's side. How is Patty? How is she doing? He kind of leans back and he's pulling out a pulling out a case for cigarettes, and he like winds it up and opens it and starts pulling one out. I'm sure she didn't use you as a messenger.
I have been, how do you say, my services have been acquired. My services in finding things.
Finding things? What is that, that wandering husband of hers? Is he gone missing or something? Off on some damn fool adventure of his?
I believe that, and Dove kind of like pulls one of those looks over each shoulder. He goes, I believe the children are missing.
Oh. Henrietta.
Robbed out of the cradle, as it were, sir.
So, perfect timing as Bogdan brings up the other trio.
Dove puts his hand up in a kind of don't listen to him. We believe there may have been some form of foul play, perhaps.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, what can I do to help? Of course I'd want to help them out. They are precocious, curious children, but definitely willing to see more of the world than their mother, that's for sure. So, tell me, what can I do for you, Mr. Paulson? And could I get anything for your companions here? Perhaps a drink, something to eat. They have a decent potato stew. It's actually quite something.
So, do we know which one of us would have picked up the program for the play? Because that's pretty much what got us here.
I think it was, there's the play, and then there's also the Matchbox that also brought you over.
Right, but the Matchbox is what got us literally to here. Right. The play is what we're kind of thinking, because we're not entirely convinced the kids just didn't run away on their own.
Right.
So I kind of want to see if he knows anything about that. So I just wanted to know who would have been the person that actually picked up the play pamphlet.
I'm pretty sure it was either Loom or Blackwell. And I think for plot's sake, it'd probably be Loom.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, we'll say Dr. Loom is there.
But I don't think we ever defined that. I think we just said we picked it up.
That's fine, and I'm totally fine with that. We gotta go with the flow of the cast and everything. So go with it. Then. So you'll probably look to Dr. Loom to.
I'm gonna look to the doctor and be like the play, the pamphlet that we found in the children's room. Perhaps our friend here might know a little bit more about the showing, and perhaps maybe how the children may be involved.
Dr. Loom, still kind of offended at being swooshed, but nonetheless looks down, goes to his little satchel, and digs around in it, pulls it out, and hands it to Dove.
We found this in the children's room. It seems odd for children of this age, but perhaps maybe you might know something.
So he takes a look at it. It's the pamphlet has that picture of King Lear on it, and that it's for that play down at the pavilion. And so he takes it. Oh yes, indeed. Well, I'll be honest with you. I brought them there. I took them there to see some culture, to see something outside of that ridiculous study that her father maintains. And I gotta tell you, some of the educational people that they bring around there, these Professor Smythe, oh, what a stuffed shirt he is. I mean, he knows a little bit about science, but he knows...
I'm literally going to, jump over top of him and be like, so you know Professor Smythe, do you?
Professor.
Exactly my point, good man. I don't know him per se. It's not like I would travel in circles with him, but the man wouldn't know a limerick from a sonnet. But I'll tell you, he's how do I want to put this delicately? He's a buffoon. I don't know how they even consider him being as a professor. I mean, I would
the first thing Luke agrees with.
I absolutely agree, sir.
We found common ground. It's amazing.
I will tell you. Can I get your name? And he holds out his hand to you, Dr. Loom.
Dr. Loom stands up to his full short stature and bows. Dr. Nimrod Loom, sir.
Dr. Nimrod Loom. You, my friend, You, my friend, I could write stories about. You cut an interesting character. A quite colorful
We
character,
all.
actually.
Dr. Loom starts smiling. Really? Which of my many exploits would you like to tell about?
I know nothing about you save for your very, very interesting name. But I would love to hear stories, that's for sure. But we're getting sidetracked. I'm so sorry. Please.
Another time, Doctor.
But I will definitely agree with your estimation of this professor. Oh my gosh, professor in name only, I should say. He knows things.
Tutor children in English, you got a C in the classics.
He only mid-level in the classics.
Oh, yes, I'm afraid I came across his grades purely by chance, you understand, and I can say they are indeed not impressive.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me in the least. In fact, I think perhaps, even though they're hiring him more for the mathematics and the biologies, the sciences, if you will, I don't know. The man just doesn't seem to have the knack for it. He doesn't seem to enjoy teaching children. I think he's in it for the money. His coat is quite threadbare, and he leans back, and it's interesting that he dresses in such a bohemian fashion, but you can tell from the cut of the clothing and everything that his coat probably is more expensive than all of everybody's clothing put together, save for the people surrounding the Eldred woman in scarlet. But he sits back and he says, "So, the professor, do you think this professor is behind it? Is that what you're thinking?"
Perhaps you can give us some insight. You've met the man at least. Do you think that he would be capable of such a thing?
Oh, he's barely capable of making the 3 steps up to their home. I mean, he's a bit old. Quite unremarkable.
Dove's gonna lean in at this point. He's gonna presume a little bit of familiarity with this man.
Sure.
He's gonna lean in and be like, perhaps maybe if the children willingly went with him.
Oh, I don't think so. Michael, particularly, he enjoys the sciences, but I'll have to say that probably a year after he was under his study, he probably surpassed the man in education and intelligence. But, no, I can't foresee it. He doesn't seem to have a malicious bone in his body, but, yeah, I don't know, I suppose anything's possible, but, and he, glances over and he sees Miranda for the first time. And he's like, "Oh, well, hello there. How are you today, miss? I am so sorry I did not have a chance to introduce myself. I am, Robert Doyle. I am at your service."
Warning, poetry incoming.
Oh boy.
So Miranda would kind of nod and bow. Well, not bow, but not incline her head. Very pleased to meet you. I'm Miss Russell.
Miss Russell, how enchanting! And he holds out a hand to grasp yours.
All right, I'll still give him her hand, but
So
slightly uneasily.
How much do you resist if he brings it up to his lips to kiss?
I'm not going to resist, but it's going to be a little bit disconcerting.
Right, so he does so. He brings it up and he's like, "Ah, yes, I must know more about your past. I could see oceans of distance between you and where you are now. Oh, your past must be some form of a tapestry, a painting of such hues of blue and white and ripples
Be
of
that as it
gray."
may, my good sir, our concern at the moment is the children.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive my impropriety. And good sir, a pleasant evening to you. Again, my name is Robert Doyle. Pleasant to meet you. And he offers his hand to Monsieur Joyeux.
Monsieur Joyeux, I'm pleased to make my acquaintance. Although I would much rather. I was gonna say something, and it was gonna be hilarious, but I forgot.
Well, you did all right with that. To make my acquaintance.
Pleased to make my acquaintance.
Nice, I love it. So so I'm assuming you're kind of using that subtle French accent. I kind of heard that. I want to make sure that was intentional there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here.
Don't tell me he's buying it.
So see, he listens to you and he watches you and he's like, una grivia storia. Something. He leans down and bows in respectful amount to you as well, and he says, you have the dexterous hands of I would say that you would work with machines quite well, just simply because of the way they articulate. It's just fascinating. And he's like looking at your hands, and he's holding it for a kind of a ridiculously long amount of time as he's like looking at it, and he's like, yes. Oh my, I can just see things in this. Such wonders, I'll bet. The things your hands have done. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, everybody, please have a seat. And Bogdan comes back with drinks. My friend, Baudry, and the Bogdan is just like, my name is Bogdan. Here are your drinks. I bid you a good evening. I am going to go and talk with a polar bear over here that he owes me money. I will see you soon. And so he like walks over, and you'll notice in the back corner there's a big giant stuffed polar bear that has a Russian, like it's basically a stitched Russian uniform hybridized with a British uniform that's been covered over, and it's kind of like put over him as a shirt. And he's got like a wooden carved rifle in his paws. But it's like, it's just like this bear, this stuffed taxidermist bear, that's there. Mm-hmm. So he's going over there and he's talking with some folks on the side. And so
Joy's just going to take the chance to nudge Miranda and be like, it seems like we are both at the unfortunate interest of this man.
I can assure you, sir, they're much less newsworthy than I am.
I think that
much more interesting stories.
I think that anything captures the interest of this man.
No, I can sit back and I can watch you. And he leans back in his chair and he actually puts his feet back up on the neighboring chair instead of the table. He's about to put him on the table and he thinks better of it and puts him on a neighboring chair, and he says, I will tell you one thing. That I could look at all of you and I can see great things. Great things. It's just beyond the fog. I can't quite make it out, but I can see great things.
Would those great things include the location of 2 missing children?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My heart bursts forth over my brain. It's like a tidal wave of emotions that I have to get out, especially when I meet new people.
That's the only thing that's bursting.
Nice. So he leans back and he says, so, Henrietta, Michael, I think personally they're lovely children. They're precocious, they're curious, they want to know more about their world, more than what's been shoved down their throats by this odd professor and these parents who seem to just want to have children but not have children, if you know what I mean. And so he leans back and he basically says, I'll say this. They do enjoy knowing about the world, and I have taken my opportunities to show them around a bit. I think perhaps just because Henrietta knows me and she is a fan of my poetry, I will say this, she knows good works when she sees it. But Michael, he's kind of along for the adventure, I think. He's young enough that anything new is just something amazing. But Henrietta, she's got a searcher's heart. She wants to delve more into this thing that we call reality and find out what's behind the veil. That's such a wonderful child. I think when she grows up, I think she should be the professor of the heart. That's what she should be. But you're saying now that they're missing. You say that they've gone missing. Is that, gosh.
Yes, so you have taken them to see plays and experience culture.
Yes.
Permission, or kind of leave that hanging there?
I'm assuming if you've all been hired by my second cousin, then you know exactly the type of person that she is. So, do you really think that they would have permission to make the escape from that house?
So with that in mind, could you perhaps tell us some of the places that you've taken them, or places that you know they would be interested in escaping their prison of a home, as you so poetically state?
Perhaps some place that they wanted to go, but you did
Yes,
not.
exactly.
You refused to take them.
Or some place they were interested in and had not made it to yet.
Well, let's see. So we did go to the pavilion. Yes, I was able to introduce Henrietta and Michael to. I'll tell you, even though Michael is a bit bookish, he does love his sciences. In fact, he carries around a biology book with him everywhere he goes. Anyway. He did enjoy King Lear. I will say this because I think he seemed to resonate with the king and the pain that he was going through. Such a young boy and already knowing such deep emotion is amazing. But Henrietta, yes, so we were able to go to the pavilion. I introduced them there to one of the playwrights, and the lead playwright there by the name of Dylan. Quite a wonderful person, if I must say so myself, and we've had our own share of adventures, shall we say. But they were taken with that. They did enjoy that. Where else have I taken them? I've taken them roundabouts to some of the off-street museums, if you will. Not the British Museum or something of that nature, where they just keep things in cages. They keep history in cages. It's ridiculous. But I have taken them to some of these kind of off-color museums, that sort of thing, to try and learn a little bit more about cultures outside of Great Britain. They were actually quite taken with a dwarf friend of mine. More of an acquaintance, really. His name is Harrington. Quite a gruff character. A little bit on the rougher side than, I don't wish to make offense. And he looks towards Dove and says, a bit on the rougher side. Harrington and his lot, they could be what's considered thieves, but Harrington's got a good heart. I like him quite a bit. Doesn't remind me anything of the estimable personage of you, Dr. Loon, but he has his own charm, as it were. He usually prefers to hang out in the taverns over on Wapping. That's a little bit further down the road off Commercial. But those are some of the places that we've gone. I know that they've. They've really gone missing, have they?
Dove's gonna at that point basically just be like, I believe this Harrington may have some information that we can use. Perhaps we will visit him next. You've been very helpful.
Well, I am very glad to have been of service. Listen, is there anything else that I could possibly do to help? Anything that I can say or...
You can tell us whether or not you took them.
Oh. Quite forward, aren't you, Doctor? I have not.
That is putting it lightly.
He's like, I most assure you I have not.
When's the last time you saw them?
Oh, my. I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Something to that effect. About 2 or 3 weeks ago. But that's actually when I took them to go see King Lear. So, yes, about 2 or 3 weeks. I had assumed that perhaps they were just enraptured with Professor Smythe. Whatever. But, yes. Sure, I can't interest you in staying around for a little while. Drinks are free. I will take care of them for you.
Dove basically puts up 2 cups that he's been given. He goes, I don't think this is a problem for me.
You, my friend, you can come back here any time, and I know that as soon as you walk through that door, good sir, you'll have a drink in your hand in short order.
You're very kind, but I do think that we need to go and see if this Mr. Harrington is in this place that you tell us of.
Certainly. Let's see.
Because we always find what we're looking for.
Well, I would assume with an intellect such as yours, Dr. Loom, that you will find those children in short order. So I do wish you the best of luck.
And the one responsible.
I hope that too. And I hope and I pray that nothing that I have said or done to ingratiate them to the world has contributed to their delinquency. I hope that they are not being harmed at all. Like I said, they aren't the best of children. They're precocious, they're curious, but at their hearts, they're children. They're trying to learn about the world around them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, unfortunately, those kinds of things can get people into trouble. But please, don't let me hold you up. I wish you the best in your search, and if there's anything that you need, he reaches into his coat and pulls out a card and hands it over to you. And it's actually an address in a different district. We can look at it a little bit more closely later. But he says, if there's anything that I can do, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Joy will actually take the card, and he'll take out one of his own because he's got his calling cards.
Yeah.
He'll pass one on to Robert,
Okay.
and he'll say, "Well, if you hear anything wrong with these children, then you'll know how to contact us."
Absolutely, I do appreciate the gesture. Thank you. Most interesting. I do enjoy the script. Your hand, I take it.
Indeed.
Oh, que marvelous. Belle affaire. I will treasure this. Thank you, sir. And he puts it away. If anything does appear, I will not hesitate to get in touch with you all. Is it appropriate for me to pass any information to my cousin, should something come up and I can't get in touch with you by these means? So he kind of looks at you, all of you.
Oh, if that's a collective, I don't see what could be the harm. Your cousin does want the children returned home safely. However, and again, Dove kind of leans in. We don't want to, over worry her.
That's
You
true.
know how a mother gets with her children missing.
Very true. Very true. And I'll tell you this, I'll bet you all the rest of the drinks this evening that this tavern is willing to put out, that she has no idea that they've been going and doing these things. I suppose I'd put myself at risk of danger from her wrath, but I guess I'd be more fearful of her husband. Her husband is, no offense, and he looks to Miranda and Mr. Joliot. He says he is human after all, but such tempers can flare up quickly and resound like a flame.
At that point, Dove's going to stand up from his seat and kind of put an arm on his shoulder, kind of that, we're leaving kind of thing, and just be like, she does not need to know as long as none of us tell her, and I don't know about the rest of them, but I have no intention of telling her. He kind of gives him a wink.
Very well. So let's do this, folks. Let's go ahead and take our first break. I've received word via secret messaging system that our fifth member of our troop is available and ready to join. So let's take our first break of the session, and we'll find out where the investigation leads and what sort of information Lieutenant Blackwell has to offer. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.